Hey patrons, this is Johannes from Noisebud, and today, I'm a bit excited. This plugin that I'm releasing today for my paying patrons is, it's amazing. I love it already. So, I'm almost finished with the DSP side of things, so that's why I'm releasing a beta for you guys right now. Then I'm gonna release a full version when I tidied the project up and labeled all the buttons and stuff like that. But just have a look at it right now. It doesn't look like much. It's 2 knobs, 2 buttons, 3 buttons, sorry, and there's actually another bar that shows when you click this thing, and we're going to talk about all of them during this demo. First, a little bit of history about this plugin. It comes from a thing that's been used in mastering for ages. It's when you use a series of all-pass filters set to low frequencies, and you pretty much rotate the phase of the low end, and by doing so you lowering the amplitude of the peaks, and when that happens you can push the signal a bit harder, so you can use it to make vinyl record a bit louder, so you can push the signal a bit more on vinyl without any consequences really. You could make a hotter signal for broadcast without sacrificing audio quality, and you could generally just make things louder in mastering as well. It's a subtle effect. My implementation will give you from about half a dB to max 1 decibels of loudness, but that's a lot when it comes to loudness, especially today. So let's have a listen. And right now I set it up so it will be obvious. So these are not settings I would use, but even though this is kind of extreme settings, I'm not sure that everyone will hear it. That's how subtle this is. So okay, we start with this in bypass, and I'm gonna activate it for a while, or after like 4 bars, and you'll see if you can hear the difference. If you know what you're listening for, it will be obvious. If you don't know, then it's just guesswork, and that's the cool thing with this phase rotation low end thing. Here we go. Could you hear it? I can hear it, but could you hear it? I don't know what I'm listening for, but if I didn't know that, I probably wouldn't miss what's going away from the signal. So I can tell you what to listen for, and then do the same thing. So see if you can get it. Listen to the punch and attack of the low end. So when the kick hits, let's see if you can hear that as the first transient hits. When it's bypassed, you have more punch, and when I activate the plugin, it kind of smears the transient out, and there's still the same amount of low end, it's just not as punchy. So now I know that. Listen again, it's bypassed right now. I'm gonna activate it a couple of bars in. And I need to thank Pio for letting me use your music. This is an album that I mastered last week, and I liked it a lot. And the client also liked Low in the same way that I do. So we had a really fun mastering this. So thank you for letting me use your music, even though it's not been released yet. So this is an album that will be released at some point. Okay, back to the plugin. I think you can hear when I'm activating the plugin that the low end gets a bit mushy, but it's still there. You haven't taken it away. It's just a bit more mushy. Yeah, I don't know what word to use, so I use mushy. All right. Let's talk about the controls a little bit, or actually let's listen to it again, but we're gonna dial it into more settings that I probably would use with this. Maybe a little bit lower crossover and maybe a bit shorter. And let's do the same thing again. Then the effect isn't as obvious as when I'm used a slower time with this control, but it's still there. It's way harder to hear. I probably would pick it out in an ABX test, but I'm not sure. There's at some point it gets too hard to hear. All right, let's talk about the controls a little bit. So the upper knob, this sets the crossover. It goes up to 1000 hertz. Normally you wouldn't be above 200. No, yeah, maybe I'm usually lower. I'm usually at 80 up to 120. But for this particular track, I like 200, and that's the default position of the plugin as well. The timing will. This is. Yeah, actually, to explain that a little bit, we're going to listen in delta. So let's start with 400 milliseconds, and I'm just going to play a really short snippet. And if we lower that to 36 milliseconds. You can hear that the amount of time during passage that would gain from phase rotation is way shorter when you decrease the time settings. So the timing sets how much of the attack of the low end, when it's beneficial to rotate the phase, will be allowed. Will phase rotation be allowed? That's the timing thing. So this sets the crossover. Everything below this will be phase rotated when it's beneficial. If it's not beneficial for the loudness of the signal, then it won't be rotated. The different meters. You can, let's go to this screen actually, so that I can zoom in. There we go. The first meter here, that shows the difference between the dry signal and the peak difference, the max peak difference between the dry and the processed signal. This should be, in the best scenario, it's always negative, but it won't be that in most cases. It will make louder peaks or higher peaks, not all the time, but a couple of them. And we can have a look at the limiter that I use post this, just to see how much more limiting will going on, and why I think, why I created a plugin that actually can increase the peaks at times as well, because it's not an issue. That's pretty much why, but I can show you that later. The LUM, that's loudness units momentary. So this again, this is the loudness difference between the dry and the processed signals in loudness units. So this is pretty much how much loudness will you earn in the momentary, and momentary is 3 seconds. That's a 3 seconds window. The loudness units integrated, that's how much loudness you gain of the whole track, or at least from the last time the measurement resetted. And you reset the settings by touching anything in the plugin. If you touch the crossover, the timing, the delta, the bypass, or the automatic and manual button up here, or even the manual phase rotation degree control, that will reset the settings. So actually, let's do that just so you can and have a look at the measurement. You can see that they will reset as soon as I touch anything. And this button, the automatic and the manual. So in up position, you see this control, then you set the phase rotation manually. So let's set it to 90 degrees, for example. That will give you the most effect, but it's also the most audible. Still kind of works though, but you can hear it work. Automatic, that you can see the meter up here, that will change a lot. So it will change to the degree that will give you the most which is most beneficial at that specific moment. And this is the delta, and this is bypass. So it's pretty simple. The meters here, they show the left meter. There are two different meters. One that stands still a lot of the times, and that measures the peaks at when it detects a transient. Will measure at that specific time. You will often see that the process is higher with this meter, and it's probably is exactly when the kick hits, but it will go down to the negative right after, but that meter won't show that, so I probably will remake that a little bit. The meter to the right that you see, which also contains two, it's not the left and the right channel, it's actually the left channel, both of them, but the first one is the unprocessed and the second one is the processed. That shows you more of like a normal peak limiter or peak meter, but yeah, so you can see the difference between. So pretty much like the same as this number down here, but it's just like in a graphic way instead. So let's have a look at those. And the LED that you see down here, that's green when the process is less, doesn't have the same amplitude or less amplitude than the dry signal, and it's red when it's higher than the dry signal. So those are all the controls in this plugin. So to demo this further, we actually gonna render this track, but first I gonna dial in something. let's make an extreme setting. So we're making everything as extreme as possible, and we're gonna render this. Here we go. It happens that it measured exactly for -14 LUFS. That wasn't the intention, but it did. You can see that there's a little difference between the waveforms. The lower one, the rendered one, looks a little bit more dynamic, and then the upper one, and it measures more dynamic. Let's normalize both of these to -14 LUFS and listen to the results. So I have to bypass all the plugins on this channel, and this is the unprocessed, and we solo that. This is the unprocessed, and the lower one is the processed. So when I'm soloing this channel, you will hear the processed, and this is the non-processed. Here we go. I actually, this is way too much processing, and you can hear, oh sorry, that's the wrong screen. There we go. And you can hear that a lot of the attack get lost, and you can also hear that the kick sounds different at every kick, and this is not what I would do. But you can also see that the upper one got attenuated by almost a decibel, -0.92 decibels to hit -14. While the processed one actually got boosted by 0.02 decibels. So the processed will be played back 1 decibel louder than the unprocessed. So that's pretty much the whole point with this plugin. So let's remove this one and make a more sensible settings to see what we can gain. So we're gonna use a shorter window, like 110 milliseconds, 200 is okay. We're gonna use the automatic settings instead for the manual. So we're probably not gonna hit 90 degrees because the automatic will use the rotation that will give the most bang for the buck, pretty much. So use the automatic if you're not really know what you're doing. All right, here we go. I think I got, yeah, let's see what's it. No, sorry, I forgot to remove the normalization, so we need to do that again. Sorry about that. So here we go. I thought the numbers looked a bit weird. This looks better. We're gonna do the same thing, but first we're gonna measure these. So we're gonna use the internal loudness measurement in Reaper, and this is the original. It measures -13.1 and the processed -13.3. So you can see that it way less difference when we use those crazy settings. And let's normalize these to -14 and see if we can hear a difference. And Post normalization, this is attenuated by 0.92, and the lower one, the processed, by 0.71 decibels. So both are attenuated. We gained just 0.2 decibels. So in this case, with these settings, it's probably not worth it, but we'll see if we can hear a difference. Okay, I actually like the process a bit better, because even if it's just 0.2 decibels, it just opened up the whole sound image a little bit. So it sounded, I thought it sounded better. Let's increase this to the default settings and do the same thing again and see if we can have a little bit more of an effect than we did. Oh, sorry, we need to go in and remove the loudness normalization again. There we go. We render this. See what happens. Remove the effects. Normalize it to -14. And have a look again. Again, 0.92 decibels of attenuation with the original, and with the processed 0.63 decibels attenuation. Let's see if we can hear this difference. The kick gets mushy. It gets pushed. It feels like it gets pushed in time, that the transience isn't really there, but I like it in this track. So I would probably go with this. It's just, I mean, it's dub. It's supposed to be that low, and it's just there to, it's not there for effect like in an EDM track. It's there for you to rest in, really. So yeah, I like the process one better, and you can see if we compare the waveforms that it looks a little bit more dynamic and breathes a little bit better. All right. So as you can see, this is subtle. We're talking 0.2, 0.3 decibels of gain increase when you use the plugin, but it's worth it in some cases. And I've been using this a lot, and my clients like it, so I think it's a keeper, really. All right, let's have a look at the limiter. So we're gonna use the same settings here again. Automatic, 200 hertz, 200 milliseconds, and let's have a look at real limit when we're playing this, so you can see how often it has to limit, because the peaks gets an increase instead of an attenuation. Okay, with these settings, we didn't hit the limiter at all. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I forgot to remove the normalization again. There we go. Let's try again. stop there because, as you can see, it's not triggering the limiter that often, and when it do, it's just really short stuff like these. It's nothing really, so it won't affect limiting. But I would put it before limiter anyway, because those little spikes can be annoying in a signal. So yeah, put it before the limiter. All right, I think I said everything that there is about this plugin. I don't think I explained how much I love it though. You have to experiment with it for yourself and see if you like it. You have to know when to pick this tool, so you need to learn it and what the effects of it will be. It's in like these kinds of music where you don't need the kicks to hit hard, that you don't need to make people fall as the kick hits, then it's really cool and it's just beneficial, and it will just make things perceived as better sounding. While if you working with EDM and stuff where the kick really matters, then you probably will need to be a little bit more careful, because there's a risk that you remove the punch that is everything in EDM. But if you think of it like this, if you attenuate the bass by like half a dB, and that means that you can push the signal another half the dB, then the low end will still be at the same level as it was when you started, but the rest of the spectrum is half a dB louder. So maybe the kick will hit just as hard, just that everything else will kick even harder. So think about that, try the plugin, and I will finish this so that we have a fully optimized plugin that you can use for your daily lives. One thing, it adds a lot of latency. It's not for anything else than mastering. So keep that in mind and have fun with it, and I see you with the next plugin. Bye bye.